Development Department, and I will be your moderator for today's Firehouse FastPITCH information session. We are so excited that all of you are able to join today's session and see some familiar faces here this morning. And so we hope to be able to provide you the information needed to successfully participate in FastPITCH. Before we get started, I want to make sure to let everyone know that the session is being recorded and it will be available for future viewings on the project website. As we move through our session today, please feel free to type your questions in the chat. We will be working to address those questions either throughout the session or at the end during the Q&A time. So all questions from the chat will also be posted to our website for future reference as well. During today's session, we're hoping to share with you an overview of our procurement process, and then we're also going to share with you a few tips and tricks on preparing your pitch. So to get us started, I'm going to go ahead and start a video from our fearless leader and director of the City of Phoenix Community and Economic Development Department, Chris Mackey.
Hi, I'm Chris Mackey, the Community and Economic Development Director for the City of Phoenix, and welcome to FastPITCH. This project couldn't happen without you. We are excited to take our former firehouse out for a request for proposal. The RFP will require you to reach out to our small businesses to see if you can make a connection for your proposal that brings in a small business with a local flair. We look forward to working with you on this request for proposal, and if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to my team. Thanks, and looking forward to your submittal.
The moment that we've all been waiting for, we're going to move over to our wonderful Community and Economic Development Procurement Manager, Gretchen Wolf, who is going to give us an overview of the procurement process for FastPITCH. Gretchen?
Thanks, Losetta. Oh, good morning. I do also see some familiar faces, so please bear with us as we repeat things you might have heard in the earlier session. Could I get the next slide, please? So in a nutshell, the City of Phoenix is expecting to issue a request for proposals, a formal solicitation, to find a developer who will rehabilitate the, actually I should say a proposer who will rehabilitate the building as well as operate a full-service restaurant at the Firehouse location. So it's a former firehouse. There are no firefighters there right now. The firehouse has been closed a while, but it is in a very exclusive location. So it is right in downtown. It's right on the banks of Hance Park, right off a light rail, right in all of that foodie-centric area near Roosevelt Row, and yummy places to go have breakfast. We're looking for a full-service restaurant to meet the needs not only of park patrons, but also the community. And we're also expecting that the successful proposer is going to participate in some very exciting events. So the City of Phoenix often bids on mega events like Super Bowls, NCAA Final Fours. And when we do that, we have to include areas in the city where big groups can gather. And Hance Park, being our iconic downtown park, is one of those places. So the successful proposer here will have the opportunity to be part of those. So we expect that the RFP would say something like, for those major events, we'd need the successful proposer to give us first right of refusal for hosting, official ancillary special events for a Super Bowl, NCAA, Final Four, any of those types of events, which when I worked in the aviation department, we used to talk about having a store at the airport was like the Super Bowl of retail. Well, having a Super Bowl event at your restaurant is just that, the Super Bowl of having those types of events right there on your property. We want to encourage you to ask questions today. And once we get to the RFP being issued, you'll want to submit your questions through the official Q&A process. The city has a solicitation transparency policy, which is basically an anti-lobbying policy, which prohibits you from talking to anybody at the city once the RFP is issued other than the procurement officer. So just want to raise that so you know to keep an eye on that. We would hate for you to inadvertently violate that policy because We are very excited about this opportunity, and we think you will be too as you start to look at it. Next slide, please. So everything is subject to change until the RFP is issued, but we did want to share what we think are going to be the minimum qualifications for the proposers to help people figure out whether or not they meet the minimum qualifications by themselves, if they can meet the minimum qualifications with a partner, or if there's somebody who really needs to think about being on the small business side of this versus being an actual proposer. So we expect that we will require the proposing team to have experience both with reuse development as well as restaurants. So as it says on the slide, we're looking for a team that's done at least one adaptive reuse development in the last 5 years and has at least 5 years experience operating a full-service restaurant. So there could be one company that has both development experience and restaurant operations experience, or it could be that it ends up being a team. And there are different ways those teams can be legally organized, but we can talk through that once we get to the RFP process. The successful proposer will have to use the Firehouse as a full-service restaurant. Can we go back one? Thank you. In that location. So sometimes we get people who get really creative and say, hey, I like the building, but I want to move it. We don't want to move it. We want this to be part of the Hance Park experience. And then, of course, there'll be a minimum lease rate for the property, but we don't have that quite yet, but we'll have it when we issue the RFP. We would like to issue the RFP later this summer, early fall at the latest. But we're sharing this with people now to get them excited because we want this to be a unique dining experience with local connections. So in addition to this RFP having minimum qualifications, the RFP will also have small business outreach requirements. If I can get the next slide, please. So this is a process that the city has used in other areas, primarily in the aviation department with concessions and major construction projects there. But we're looking to do this here because it is so important that we include small businesses in our business opportunities. So proposers are going to be required to do 4 steps of small business outreach. So the first thing you're going to do is in thinking about how you would structure your proposal and how you would actually do the redevelopment of the building and operate the restaurant, we're asking you to identify elements, business opportunities that small businesses could perform as either partners or suppliers of goods and services. So it might be that you say, well, we're a construction company, we're a developer, and we're going to look for a small business to actually operate the restaurant. Or it could be that it's a developer and a small business partner up to be the proposing team, and maybe the developer has, some general contractors they typically use for development projects, but maybe their architect changes from project to project, and you might say, well, we're going to try and find a small business to do those architectural services. So you're going to identify all of those things. And for each of these elements, we will tell you in the RFP what kind of documentation we need. So you're going to identify where all the places where we could use small businesses in our business plan. Then you're going to broadly solicit proposals for those business opportunities with small businesses. So we will have the FastPitch event, which is an opportunity for us to help connect you, the proposers, with small businesses. But and we've got another speaker here today who will talk about other ways to find small businesses. But we would expect you to advertise in appropriate places. So if you were a developer and you're looking for a small business restaurateur to be part of your team, we'd expect you to do some sort of outreach through the restaurant association or something like that. If you're looking for a small business architect, we'd want you to reach out to that type of organization. And again, you're going to submit documentation of that. And then we're expecting you to negotiate in good faith with these businesses. So there is no requirement that you use a certain percentage of or certain dollar amount with small businesses or a certain percentage of the value of this contract. We're not telling you which small businesses you have to use. We're not telling you what industries in which you need to pull small businesses, but we're saying try. So do the outreach. Where we've used this in other areas of the city, we've seen it be successful, where when it makes business sense for a proposer to include small businesses, they do. In fact, in the aviation department, the first time we did this was for the food and beverage concessions at Terminal 4. Prior to this, we had race and gender conscious goals, and we had this much minority and women-owned business participation. When we went to this outreach, the participation actually increased because as proposers started to think differently about how do they structure their proposal, how do they structure their business plan, they identified new places for small businesses to participate. And it wasn't a token. It wasn't like, well, I'm checking the box, I have to use a small business. It was, no, this really makes sense. It adds value to my proposal. It adds value to my business plan. So we are expecting you to negotiate in good faith. And then the fourth piece is just communicating. So small businesses that are making the effort to be part of your team and add value to your proposal, we want you to communicate with them if you've been negotiating with them. Whether it's good, yes, you want to have them as part of your team, or it's not so good, like, hey, we're going to go with somebody else. But we do want you to communicate with them, and if you can be direct with them about why you didn't pick them, that adds value to them as they're trying to grow and expand their business. So if their price point wasn't right, or you decided you really didn't want flowers delivered every week for your restaurant, something like that, you know, we want to see that communication. Typically it's by email, and you would just share with us your email documentation. Lisetta, can you? Thank you. So you're probably familiar with the RFP process. So you as a proposer, you're working on your proposal. In this instance, you're also doing that small business outreach. When you submit your proposals, we will review your documentation of the 4 outreach elements on a pass-fail basis. So either you submitted documentation that you completed them or you didn't. So we'll include details on how to document that. And then not only do you as a proposer want to do the outreach elements because we're requiring it on the outreach, you really want to look at how you're going to include ties to the local community, because our evaluation panel is going to be looking at it too. So we expect the evaluation criteria is going to be the concept to activate the site, the return to the city, temporary operations, because we expect that our timeline for getting this RFP issued and awarded will not leave the recommended proposer, the successful proposer, with enough time to rehabilitate the building and do a full build out before the Super Bowl is going to be in the Phoenix area again. So we're looking for temporary operations so that the Super Bowl ancillary events that are happening at Hance Park will have the food service at this restaurant. And then finally, we'll look at the proposing team's qualifications, experience, and financial capacity. So the panel is not going to say, well, proposer A had 5 small businesses as part of their proposal, and proposer B had 1, so we're going to give the contract to the proposer with 5 small businesses. That's not necessarily it, but they will look at, did you make that effort, and where it made sense, did you include small businesses? And if it doesn't make sense, you'll have the opportunity in your proposal to explain why you didn't use small businesses. And I think that is the end of that. I'm going to pass it back to Lisetta to introduce Kent.
Thank you so much, Gretchen. So that was a lot of information that Gretchen shared with us this morning. And so we just want to encourage you, if you have any questions, please feel free to put them into the chat, and we will make sure that your questions are answered during the Q&A session. And at this time, I'd like to introduce Kent Lane. Kent is a Special Projects Business Programs Engagement Administrator with the Equal Opportunity Department. And Kent is going to share with you about doing small business outreach. Kent?
Thank you, Lisetta. I appreciate that introduction. And it's a pleasure to be able to have and see all the names that are participating in this event and this portion as proposers. Like Gretchen was mentioning, there's a small business outreach component to this. And I do want to mention, as a reminder of my name, it's no relation to Clark Kent or Lois Lane, because I get that all the time on my phone calls. You'd be amazed how many times I get that. But that's something to help you remember as we go through this process, and helping you as a team, as a proposer, to be able to look and search for firms. There are different organizations all over the city and the valley that will definitely help in definitely engaging small businesses in general. Just know that it's in the best interest of the community to find these small businesses, but it's also the best interest for the city of Phoenix as well. So I'm here to show 2 tools that will definitely help you in that search in case the small pitch does not generate any type of thoughts of having some of those small businesses. We're certainly hoping that you'll be able to have some businesses to be able to team up with, or some firms that provide unique services during that fast pitch. But in case there's some other types of businesses that you're looking for to help you with this particular project, here's a couple of tools and how we can help. And the first one is the City of Phoenix Certification and Compliance System. Within this system, there are a multitude of different types of businesses, and actually there are over 700 firms in this directory. As a lot of firms can range from all the way to construction, design, and also some food and beverage types of businesses within this platform. So, Lizetta, would you go ahead and go to the website for us, please? And we'll take a look at how this works in action. Now, you'll notice that there's a login in the middle of that screen, and you do not need to have an account to be able to search for businesses, or you don't need to actually be signed up for this to do an actual search for those firms. But once you come to this website, and let's want to expand that just a little bit. There we go. And just scroll down just a tad once that finishes loading. And I want to show the audience a little bit on how to do this. So if you look to the left, there's a title for vendor certification. In that area, there's a box that says search for certified directory. So click on that, and then this box will pop up, and it's going to give you some information. In this information, it has certified SBE firms. Now, it's not a requirement to have certified firms, but this is just another tool, another option of how you can search for firms within this directory. As we scroll down just a little bit more, Lizetta, as you can see, there's some different search options. You can search by business name or doing business as DBA, or you can do a business description search, which we're going to try here in just a moment. Also has commodity codes, contract, person, owner, various ways in terms of like city, zip codes, and how you can do a search as well. So Lizetta, just scroll just a little bit, and we're going to go ahead and type in under the business description, we're going to try construction. So we're just going to type that in this search box real quick, as Lizetta does an amazing job typing quick. Thank you. And we're going to come down here. You're going to need to click that I am not a robot. Okay, you definitely need to click that. And then click search. And then it's going to populate businesses within the state. It should populate, and boom, there we go. Then you're going to see a whole list of different types of firms under that particular category. Yeah. And then so when you see those links, or I should say where you see the SBE highlighted in blue, you can always click on those, and then it'll populate their information of their profile and what they do in terms of their description. It has the name of the business. It also has the address of that business, but it also shows you the phone numbers, email addresses, and as you look towards the bottom, it shows certified business description. It'll show all the information that the company's activities, their tasks of what they do as a small business will be in that box. So that's one way of how you can search for businesses in this directory. And again, there's over 700 firms in there. Not all of them are in that food and beverage area or construction, but there's different types of firms in there. We're going to show you another website, and that website is going to be AZ UTRAX, and this is a different platform that has been developed by the Arizona Department of Transportation. That particular platform has over 1,100 firms, and they have anywhere from DBEs, which are disadvantaged business enterprises, and they also have an SBC component to it as well, which means a small business concern. In that directory, as Lizetta tries to bring that up here, in just a moment. In that directory, there's all different types of firms as well.
Kent, I'm sorry, I apologize. Are we back on the same website that we were just on?
We're going to AZ UTRAX now. You can go there just for a moment. And perfect.
This is it. Okay.
Thank you. Sorry about that, Lizette.
No, it's okay. 1 second.
As I lose my Vanna White to this thing. Does an amazing job. All right, so this is AZ UTRAX. And this particular website is the Arizona Department of Transportation web base. And you can do essentially the same thing in terms of searching for firms in this directory. As mentioned, there's over 1,100 firms here ranging from construction, design, but it's also going to include airport concessionaires, which are some of those are restaurants. I do remember that there has been even some wineries that have been certified under the ACDBE portion of this platform. So Lizetta, would you go ahead and go at the very top? It talks about search DB directory. Click that. And in here, will give you various ways to search just as well as the one for the city of Phoenix. But in this one, it has different categories such as DBE, SBC, and also ACDB. So you can narrow and filter this down to whatever you would like. And we're going to do the same thing that we did before when we type into this directory. And we're going to type in the same thing. So let's just say construction under business description. And you'll click search. This one, you do not need to click that you're a robot. And as you know, you're not a robot. And you'll be able to see all the different types of firms. But not only that, you can see if they are certified, not certified, which means that SBC column, that's a small business concern. Those are just registered businesses. And a lot of these firms that are in that SBC column have participated in the Super Bowl event as well. And along with the ACDBE firms too. So this is a whole new different type of directory, but it also encompasses lots of different types of firms at your convenience. So I just wanted to show you those two tools that would be able to help you or assist in case you did not find any firms that to your liking during the fast pitch and something didn't resonate at that time. But just know we'll be able to help you as the procurement office along with the EOD. Together we'll collaborate and help you in that search in case you do not find any firms that will be able to help you with this RFP. So we'll open up for any questions, answers to this point, but please know we're here to assist and help you with your outreach here at the City of Phoenix in EOD. Thank you. And back to you, Lizetta.
Thank you so much for that, Kent. All right.
Can we just give kudos to Kent for figuring out a way to talk about wine at work?
I do my best. I try.
All right. So thank you so much for that, Kent. That was a lot of valuable information and great tools, by the way, for our proposers to utilize. So now is the time for questions and answers. Heather, I do not see any questions on my side. Would you mind checking the Q&A to see if there are any questions there?
So far, nothing's come in yet.
Okay, then I'll go ahead and I'll stop sharing for a moment and I'll go ahead and just open it up to everyone that's on the call this morning. If you want to go ahead and unmute yourself and feel free to ask your questions if you have any, and we'll get the team to respond.
Hello, Sarah.
Hi.
Thank you for taking the time to do this today. I'm not a proposer. I'm actually a small business, but I didn't get to watch the first part of the or is that also on being taped so I can refer back to it?
Yes. So today's presentation from this morning and from just a moment ago will be posted on our website for you to view.
Thank you.
You're
Thank you.
welcome. Thanks so much for joining us this morning, Alex. Are there any other questions by chance? John?
Yes, how are you?
Good.
Lizetta, did I say that correctly?
You did. Thank you.
Good. So obviously you're going to cover this later. You mentioned this, the lease terms. Obviously the lease terms have a lot to do with it, have a lot to do with my energy and my corporation and any corporation that's evaluating this concept. I mean, whether you're going to charge $10 a square foot or $100 a square foot, I mean, that determines whether anyone's going to participate. So I don't know how soon you guys are going to be able to get some type of lease terms together, because that's really going to determine whether anyone's going to participate. I would think. In my Q&A, it was obviously price per square foot, NETI, water, sewer included, lease terms, parking issues, option to purchase, zoned area of the park to be utilized by restaurant, you know, those type of things. So I don't know if I need to list those in a questionnaire or if those things you guys have thought about, but it's pretty important before the August 12th pitch. Why go through all that if the numbers are going to make sense? We're here to make business and be profitable, obviously.
Thank you so much, John, for that question. I'm going to go ahead and turn that over to Gretchen.
Great, thanks. So John, you might get the prize for the most questions today, the most good questions. So thank you for participating in both sessions. So typically we release all of that information as part of the RFP. So the RFP talks about the minimum lease rate, all of the zoning pieces and all of that. But I do hear you say that, you know, at least the lease rate would be helpful for you to know before the 12th. So that you know whether or not it's even worth your time to show up. So we'll look at that and see. The lease is going to be based off the appraisal. So we do have to ask for, you know, market rate for the building, but we recognize that the building is going to need some work. There's going to definitely need to be some TIs there to deal with things. I don't know that we can get a tour of the facility in before the 12th. But, you know, we'll see what information we can share because, you know, we want this to be valuable for you and we don't want to waste your time. We want you to be, you know, off making your millions. So thank you for raising that. And we'll see whether or not, you know, there's a way for us to share that appraisal. I need to double check that it's been finished. I know that it was in the works, but see if that's completed, that we can get that out to you guys.
Yeah, that would be fantastic, and I appreciate it. I'm obviously a part of Arizona Brewing Company A1, and I would love for that to be our first location in the city of Phoenix.
All right. Thank you so much for that question, John. Are there any other questions? Anything lingering? Quiet group. Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. I just want to make sure that you all see the information that the team has shared with you about the web link. And then if you want to send your Q&A questions to our procurement email address, so we can go ahead and respond to those to you as well. All right, so we're going to go ahead and wrap up for this morning. So thank you all so much for joining us. And as I shared, all the questions that we did receive this morning will be posted on our Fast Pitch website. And the actual live Fast Pitch event registration link will be going live tomorrow, July 21st. So don't forget to register to reserve your spot to the pitch. And if that's all, thank you so much. You all have a wonderful day, and we'll be hopefully seeing you soon.